and I'll start it off with my little list. I was debating between two things this week of either doing radio-themed music or songs I've heard recently on the radio. So I I have the entrance song, which is also the mixed into the title of this episode, AM Radio by the Lumineers, is my only radio-themed song. The rest are from what I've heard on the radio as of recent. So, yeah, but I'll start with AM Radio by the Lumineers. It's what I would say is like a rock pop song, and has some very cool guitar riffs, which is what I like the most about it. But it's also just a very casual listen and smooth listen. The next song I have is Dawn a New Day by Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, which is one of my oldest favorite songs, and when I heard it on the radio last week, I got so ecstatic in the car. I was like, oh my god, they're playing Pigeons Playing Ping Pong.
That sounds like a great band. I've never heard of them.
They're very funk and like acoustic funk, I would say. A lot of electric guitar, like upbeat rhythms, which is very cool. And they're the main lead vocals. I don't know the name, but it's very smooth and like catchy voice, which is something you don't like. It's a unique voice, I would say, that you don't hear much, at least outside of the genre that band is. So that was cool. The next song that I have is New Beginnings by Charlotte Dos Santos, and it's from the album Cleo. It's a very smooth chordal sound, very vocal, rhythmic motion. A lot of emphasis on just the vocals, even though it's got a lot more going on to it. But it's a very smooth song. The next one is What Lovers Do by Anise. And this one I actually heard first on TikTok. And I hate to say how much music I enjoy that comes off of TikTok, but I must admit there's quite some good pieces that come out of it. So that one, and I also have So You Want to Marry Daisy by Spence Hood. And that is also one I heard first on TikTok, and then they moved to the radio. And I think TikTok is a big lead-in to labels and radio picking up on artists nowadays. Kind of what YouTube and just like people being discovered used to be on other things. So that's an interesting portion of the new social media aspect of things. But yeah, What Lovers Do has kind of a funk groove, but it's got some really catchy lyrics, which I think is the best part of it. And also a slightly raspy voice, which is kind of helps with the groove of the song. So You Want to Marry Daisy by Spence Hood, which I mentioned, is a very jazz show tune style song, kind of New Orleans jazz emphasis. It kind of tells a story. It's very show tuney. Feels like it would be in a New Orleans musical of sorts. But yeah, it's some really cool variation in the vocal rhythms, and it just tells a really cool story, I think. And then I have two more. The last one is, the first one is Born Without a Heart by Foja. And it's a very deep, powerful voice and incredible range. Foja I discovered with this song on the radio and then listened to a bunch of her other music, and her voice is so amazing. So if anything, just listen to it for that. But it's also a very strong song lyrically. And you can tell that there's a lot of emotion behind her pieces. And the last one I have is Okay, It's All Right With Me by Eric Hutchinson, which is very upbeat, cool feel. I would equate it to like Bruno Mars, Jason Mraz. Just got some like good energy, put it on a feel-good song with your friends to sing along. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for my songs. And I know, Tom, you've brought in a couple pieces.
Well, I've got a lot of listening to do, because I think with the exception of the Lumineers, I probably haven't heard of any. So I'm excited to listen to what you've been hearing on the radio, because I listen a lot, but I haven't heard those.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to the right station.
I hop around on the radio a lot, and I also listen to the radio, I think, a lot more than... I think Spotify has overtaken most of people. Like, if you're not in your car listening to the radio, even people who are in the car are like turning on Spotify and listening. And I still love going on the radio, even though I don't have access to my car. I'll go on the radio online and just like listen.
Nice.
Because it's how I get a lot of new music. So
Interesting. Well, I'll have to get some station recommendations from you. 'Cause I know a few in Pittsburgh I like, but yeah. So the ones I brought, there's a very obvious theme. I think I took this a little literally, so
which I appreciate because I did kind of the opposite. It's what I was choosing between, and then I did the other one. So
the first song is "Spirit of the Radio" by Rush. This is probably the best song specifically about radio ever written. I think I can say that. It's just a really nice lyrics, really creative, exciting. It makes radio just seem so epic and wonderful, and talking about a timeless wavelength and connecting with people. And it's also about the dark commercial side of it and all of that stuff too. So it's a great song. There's a little guitar riff at the beginning that's supposed to sound like static. It's just a really creative song, and it has that prog rock exuberance in the lyrics that sounds like somebody's narrating a D&D campaign. It's pretty good.
I feel like prog rock definitely fits in with the radio vibes.
Yeah. And I guess I'm just going in chronological order of release. So the next song is Fake Plastic Trees by Radiohead.
Okay.
Just because Radiohead, you kind of have to give them a shout out. So, it's a bit of a downer of a song, as Radiohead often can be.
Yeah.
But it was one of those songs I was listening to a lot while I was studying for my general exam. Because when I was getting into their earlier stuff on, the album was The Bends. A friend of mine lent me the CD. We traded CDs around to share music then. And it was great. It's a song with an interesting message about, I think it resonates kind of well in the social media age about kind of the fronts you put on in your relationships with other people and how it can be really tiring to keep that up. So it was kind of interesting. It was released in the mid-90s and now, it has a special resonance today. Mm-hmm. The next song is Sell Out by Real Big Fish. So Real Big Fish was one of the 5 ska bands that was everywhere in the late 90s, early 2000s. They call it the third wave of ska or something. So it was, if you don't know what ska music is, it's like this mix of reggae and just really exciting beats with a lot of heavy horns in the band. And so that album title that song comes from is Turn the Radio Off. So that's the connection there. Mm-hmm. I just have to give a shout out. That was probably their biggest hit, was Sell Out. It's just about, hey, we signed with a record label and now we're great. And that's there's literally nothing else to the song, but it's very ska, can be very the lyrics aren't too deep, but that's okay.
Right.
Then the next song was On the Radio by Regina Spektor. So I love Regina Spektor. Pretty much any musician who plays a piano and sings, I'm there for that. So that's it's a nice, playful, fun song. And so I put that on the list. And then the last one was Heard a Song by Caro Caro Bonito. I just had to put them on there because I listened to them a lot recently. They're just really fun, goofy. They're kind of, I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of electronic, but not house style. It's just very silly music.
A lot of synth stuff,
a lot of synth stuff. Yeah, some of the stuff they've been releasing sounds kind of housey. This is just kind of playful, poppy,
gotcha.
Just silly. I mean, the song is about hearing a song on the radio, not knowing what it was, and just trying to tell people, hey, have you heard this song? Can you tell me what it was? It's kind of something that happened a lot, again, when I was kind of in high school or whatever. I remember driving around thinking, hearing something cool on the radio and not knowing what it was. Yeah. I had to write lyrics down. I kept a notepad in my car to do that so I could look it up on the internet later. Yeah. Whereas now you can sort of take out and listen to it on an app and it does all this. It just tells you. So
that was whoever was the first to do that as an app is a genius, because that's something I feel so many people were there should be something that you just tell what the song is, and the first person to actually just make that was it was a great addition to my phone, I'll say.
I still never downloaded it because I still like doing it.
You're a tradition to do the puzzle now.
Yeah, because it makes you listen to the lyrics, think about them. I don't know. I enjoy the possibility of it escaping me. So,
there's a thrill to it now.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had to put that song because I love KKB and that's their song about the radio. So
nice.
And that was my list. So
awesome. I think that's a pretty good mix for today's playlist. And I think that's going to wrap it up for the episode. So thank you to Tom for joining me on talking about all things ham radio and giving you guys some content today. And thank you to the listeners for tuning in and checking out the podcast.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. I love radio is probably my favorite thing. So I appreciate having the opportunity to talk about it.
Awesome. So I'm Philomena Giuliano, and this has been my Sound Perspective.